Welcome to Notes from the North with Kyle and Sam.
Welcome back to Notes from the North. Kyle and Sam here. Post
Excuse me.
25th Christmas holidays, post Vikings Detroit.
Yep.
I did it there. The first name, the city name, and the team name.
Yeah, right.
Vikings Lions. I know it's a pet peeve of Kyle's
That is a pet
to
peeve.
talk about.
If you say the city name in the same sentence, it should be Detroit, Minnesota, or if it's Lions and Vikings, either use that. Anyhow, that's just me.
Maybe just a
That's just me.
sign of
That's fine.
things to come today.
Yeah, things are
Little
gonna go poorly here in those from the north.
little less prep today. But you know what? Let's get to the game, because I think there's the game, and then there's certainly right now I think there's a bit of a okay, they've lost. That sucks. There's some noteworthy things that
Mhm.
happen in this game. And then also it's like, wow, now, especially after today, we've got a clarity on all the results from week 16,
Yeah.
and you've got 2 more weeks now, and uh, it becomes more and more clear what the Vikings need to do, and also what needs to happen around them now for them
Mhm.
to be able to make it in. But to start with the game, uh, same old, a little bit, although maybe some different pieces here. And I guess maybe the
Yeah.
same old is, uh, and I think old in terms of really at the start of the season in particular, turnovers
Yeah.
kill the Vikings in this game.
So it's turnovers, yes, but it's same old, even more to Sam's points. The time of possession, 38-22 for Detroit. 21-38 for the Vikings. Now that goes back to the interceptions, or if you step back more broadly, turnovers, right, in other games. But when you're just giving the ball away so many times, that obviously contributes to that statistic in a major way, right? And then you can even make it even worse when you realize that the Vikings, for the day, ran for 17 yards. 17 yards, right? So they rushed the ball 11 times, picked up 17 yards, good for an average of 1.5 yards per carry, and their long for the day went for 6 yards, 6 yards. And so that's kind of the losing, at this point, the losing formula for the modern Minnesota Vikings, for the present day Minnesota Vikings, is very clearly established. And that means run the ball almost unbelievably poorly for an NFL football team. Um, Struggled to get off the field at times with defense, long methodical drives, turn the ball over at an unusually high rate. Combine all those three things, and they're going to lose the game, which almost every team would lose the game. It's kind of wild in a sense when you think of how bad and how damning those three things are in football, and yet still having the capacity to hang around in games and be able to kind of at least make it close. I mean, look, at the game, they've got a chance to march on the field and tie it. You go to OT, and who knows, right? Who knows? And so it's kind of crazy to think that it was still there for the taking, still over there for the taking, in some senses at least. Not that they deserved it, but the losing formula, the 2023 losing formula for the Minnesota Vikings was out in full force. It was all the components were there. And so it's kind of discouraging way to go into Christmas for the Vikings.
Yeah, well, and like they had a chance to win it, right? Like they were down 6, drive
Yep.
down, and even
Yeah,
like
yeah, right, exactly. 30 to
so
24, 6 points. They could have won the game 31-30. Yeah.
they could have won. And again, similar to what it almost felt a little bit Buffalo Bills-esque, where you have this crazy long
Jefferson.
play, you throw it down to Jefferson,
Yep.
makes this catch. Um,
Yeah. And the
and
play before that, Sam, he was the dude who hustled back and recovered the fumble, right?
right.
Because you had the Vikings fumble, ball from the ground. Jefferson, unbelievable, goes back and recovers the fumble. So Vikings maintain possession. And the very next play, he elevates and goes against that ball. similar to Buffalo, exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, but
I mean, wow.
yeah, incredible catch, and you're like, okay, like maybe this team's going to do it because for
Yep.
most of the day, it really just didn't feel like it, and every time it felt like they were coming back, um, some turnover happened. I think
Yep.
if I have my information straight, no, I guess not. No, I was thinking that Nick Mullins almost separated his interceptions and just kind of shared them around to one each quarter. There was none in the third quarter though. There was two in the fourth quarter. Um, yeah, he did his best. But again, you talked about the interesting game, absolute complete lack of a run game. Like you said, Gibbs had
Yep.
one rush for his longest rush on the day was 18 yards. So out rushed the
Yeah,
Vikings
there you
in that
go.
one play. Uh,
He's an amazing player. Jameer
you know what?
Gibbs.
Like I
He's
know there was
amazing.
some criticisms of you
Yep.
take a running back that early, even uh taking it. There was some. I know there's some surprise about him even being the first running back off the board too. But man, that is a nice piece to have. Um,
Yep.
but going to the Vikings and maybe just as a little bit of a wrap on this game.
Hmm.
Interesting in that you have Mullins throw for over 400 yards, right? If you start left to
Yep.
right on
Yeah,
um,
exactly. The stat sheet there.
on the stat sheet, you look, okay, 22 for 36. Yeah, 411 yards. Wow. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, that's a wild number, no matter who you are. Yeah.
Get sacked four times, two touchdowns, and then you get over to the interceptions and you see
Yep.
four of them. Um, I know Kyle and I talk a little bit offline, and I think that Mullins is a good quarterback. I absolutely cannot stand the turnovers. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
I, I I don't know, like maybe the question is, and this is probably more of a gut feeling, gut instinct kind of question rather than completely logical, but like,
Yeah.
can the Vikings win with this guy?
Uh, Short answer is yes, because in a sense they kind of already have Las Vegas. Came into the game and led them to the win. So in a sense, he already did it. The other area there, so not only did they have no run game, they also had no Addison, no Hawkinson. And they also had a defense that was really struggling. And there are reasons for that. You know what I mean? Like, even beyond just maybe facing a tough team, maybe not performing as well as they hoped. Um, and I'm talking, more broadly about Byron Murphy and losing DJ Warner and so on and so forth. So these things are important. These things do matter, and they do make a difference in the outcome of the game. The Vikings have faced an unusually high degree of injury troubles, not just injuries, but injuries to super important players at super important positions. That does make things difficult, right? So that partly explains it. Now, shrink things down to the individual moment and an individual QB decision, throwing this ball here right now, you think, what in the world were you thinking, dude? And so if you're going to put Nick Mullins in the game, you kind of do so with this understanding that the the kind of magic that can lead to 22 passes turning into 411 yards, even in a day where you don't really have two of your three-headed monster, right? Is this that same kind of magic can be this kind of curse that leads to these plays that lead to turnovers, right? So this is why he's a backup right here, right? He's somewhat consistently inaccurate with his passes, right? Like he's just like, you know what I mean? You see these balls coming to the receivers, and you're thinking, man, that dude would have been open if you threw it 2, 3, 4, 5 yards ahead of him instead of forcing him to gear down and try to catch it behind him and then allow the defender to come in and make the interception, right? So it's like I'm thinking like, I don't know, think in your mind, baseball, right? Ground ball comes over, first baseman has to come over, excuse me, first baseman has to come over, field the ground ball, and kind of lob it over to the pitcher running to first base. If that first baseman throws the ball to where the pitcher is, rather than to where the pitcher is going to be, i.e., first base, there will be no catch. Like there will be no edit first base. Like you have to lead your guy. Like I remember like playing baseball growing up. This is where I learned this idea of like, don't throw it to where he is, dude. Throw it to where he's going, and let your guy run into the ball so we can go make the play. It's the exact same playing quarterback and throwing to your receiver. Like you got to throw it to where he's going to be. And I know, look, easy for schmuck like myself to say that, but it's basically like that kind of issue was an issue, right? And that really fueled those interceptions, right?
It it was it like in a like it's a bit of that, and also I think I said this to you too. Like it just feels like sometimes it feels like he's just searching for greatness when good enough
Yeah.
is good. Like
Yeah.
I know I don't always love it when you take screenshots of plays and you say, well, like look, here's this guy is open. But there is a screenshot that I saw, I know of Powell sitting there on the sideline, 10 yards deep on that last throw that Mullins had the interception. And
Yeah.
it's like, you know what? You had a great throw. I understand like there's not a whole lot of time, but you still have some time left. Like you do not need to go for the end zone here, especially
Yeah.
with the way
They're
kind
around
of,
the 30, right? So I
yeah,
mean, there was time.
you
There was
you
time.
had time.
Not you just can't dawdle, but like there's a little bit of time, and you're not that far.
No. So like it's just you do not need to make the high risk, high reward throws every time. And there's something fun about it. I know in some ways it's nice when
Yeah.
it comes off, but this team is talented enough. Again, like you said, you're missing by the end. You're missing Hawkinson. You're missing Addison. Uh, Osborne had I thought a great game,
Yeah.
stepped up.
Played
Like
really
there's
nice.
other guys that are on this team that can
Yeah.
do a great job. Like
Yeah.
they've shown that receiver depth has been a strength. Even
Yeah.
Oliver comes in and first play of the game.
First play of the game, exactly. The yards after the catch.
Like there
Tremendous.
there
Yeah.
is there is guys that can step up here and just
Yep.
um, be the hero by just winning the game, not by making the hero throws.
But you see my point though, right? Because like yeah, so like in this moment, do you have to throw the hero ball? No. And in fact, that ended up being the game sealing mistake. But that same perspective is what led to those earlier magical moments that allows you to climb to 400. That allows you to complete that third and 27, right? And so it's, can you get this guy somehow these next two? You gotta win these next two games to get into the playoff. You're 7-8 now. You have to go 9-8, right? Can you get this guy to know when to lean into that impulse and create that magic, or say, you know what, no, not right now. This is not. I'm going to live to fight the next play. That's just the same kind of thing, right? So, yeah,
Yeah.
your point is well taken, and your point isn't wrong, but it's gonna be tough, like
Yeah.
because like because if you take away that perspective and that belief and that whatever, then you basically take away who Mullins is as a QB, and the offense doesn't even gain any yards or gain any point. Like this is who he is, right?
You know what? I think if we can just have the good hero throws and take away the turnovers, I think we got something really good here.
You
Uh,
always hit a home run and you never strike out. Yeah,
that would be I think you might have something here in the lab for a pretty good
yeah.
quarterback.
We should actually call probably Coach O'Connell and tell him this
Just
idea, right? That if you could just eliminate all your big mistakes, but keep making all those amazing plays, he probably will want to hear this. Yeah,
I think I
yeah,
think we might be onto something here. Okay,
might be on something.
well, let's transition here a little bit. You mentioned a couple weeks left
Yep.
here.
Yeah,
Green
a
Bay
couple weeks.
and Detroit.
Yeah,
And he said you gotta you, again, you can look at all the odds and figure it out. Really, you need to win both games.
have
Uh,
to.
like you got to do it. And
Yep.
Green Bay is an interesting matchup. Again, as I look a
Yeah.
little bit from the outside in, um, seems like some of what I see coming out of Green Bay seems like there's a lot of discouragement around the defense. They were on a bit of
Yeah,
a streak there and haven't played super well as of late. Um, I don't know when
that's
you
been
look at
simmering for a while. That defensive frustration over
yes,
impactful
yes,
lands. That's been an ongoing thing for a bit.
yeah, yeah, and it just feels like especially like losing brings that up to
Oh yeah,
a point,
exactly. You just get
especially
ratcheted up. Yeah.
especially when you feel like you're within playoff contention. You can see that, and it feels like it's
Mhm.
slipping away a little bit. Um, yeah, just as you look at where the Vikings are at right now, and you see the playoff picture ahead of them, and again, now they are, while they did control their own destiny, now they do not, and they now
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
teams to lose. Uh, Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you feeling that the Vikings can do this?
Four. 4 to 10 is where I find myself right now. I actually like Nick Mullins, and I actually think he gives them the best shot. Um, whether they do or not, especially given some of the kind of glib injury news, it's things don't necessarily look good for Wanham and Hawkinson, and that's a huge deal at this stage in the off-season, this stage in the season, especially given everything else going on. I'll give them a 4 to 10, and that's with the understanding that you talk about the odds. Football Power Index, 19.2% chance that the Vikings make the playoffs. Flip over to the New York Times, they're a little bit more optimistic, but they're still giving you a 27% chance. So not great. So me coming in at 4 to 10 is quite optimistic in the context of these spots that do this professionally. So I mean, where would you where are you in terms of your confidence meter out of 10? Win 2 games, get into the playoffs.
Yeah, it was interesting when you said 4. I was thinking actually like I know I had given you the scale, and then I also was thinking about it from a percentage standpoint. I was like, that's not great.
It's
But
40%.
you're 40%. I was
Yeah.
thinking it was 4%. Um,
4% would have been very no
4% would
40%
yeah,
is where I'm at.
40%. To be honest, I feel a little bit lower. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
think
fine.
it's hard.
A rare moment in Notes from North history where you're more pessimistic.
Well, I don't know. Like, do I want to be right or do I want to be optimistic?
Wow, there we go. There we go.
Some honesty is
Spoken like a
coming
true
through.
pessimist.
I just think it's going to be really hard for
Yep.
them to do, and I think like if we're talking about them having games against I don't know, I don't even want to throw out a team because I'm not super confident about what could happen, but like you've got two divisional opponents. I
Yep.
do feel like I don't know, you've beaten Green Bay so far, you've
Yep.
lost to Detroit. I usually kind of assume that you're going to split those uh division matchups on the year. Uh
Hmm.
Beating Green Bay will be big. That like and that's like to
Yeah.
state the obvious. Like
Yeah. You always want to beat Green Bay
you
if you're
for
Minnesota.
them to win and have 8-8 and to have a chance like
Exactly.
that to me in a sense feels like the bigger hurdle than going back and beating Detroit. Like I think that
Yeah.
I think you can do that, but I think that's where my uneasiness is. Like I again, Detroit's a better team than Green Bay, but there is this
Yeah.
uh, part of me that feels like that that's the game I'm worried about losing more at this point. But it's also the next game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. I got you.
where I'm at.
All
So
right. So right now, let's end it right here. Yes or no? Do the Vikings make the playoffs following the 2023 regular season?
that's the question.
Yeah. Just
I
do they
think
make the
I
playoffs?
think
Yes or no?
given our odds, it's more likely no than yes. Um,
I know that's what the odds give you the likelihood. But what do you say? What's your predicted outcome?
yeah, I'm gonna say no because when we've turned on this team, that's when they've shown greatness.
Yeah, okay. The notes bulletin board material. I'll say yes, I guess.
I'm trying yeah, exactly. They're posting this.
Yeah.
I'm playing both sides of the field by not really in a pessimistic way, but
Yeah, all right.
I think it's gonna be hard.
All right. All right.
Yeah, you're not
Fair
gonna
enough.
answer it. That's
No, I'm saying yes. I'm
you're
saying
saying they're
yes,
gonna
yes, 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 they're gonna
wow.
make the playoffs. The odds are stacked against them. The confidence is at 4. somehow they go full-blown Vikings and go in and they get slaughtered in the first round. That's the Vikings way.
That would make this just
That
feel
is the
complete.
Vikings way.
Yeah. Good. Well, we'll wrap up there. Yeah, again, Vikings coverage, purpleptsd.com, vikingsterritory.com. I know Kyle and I plug this every year around this time, but World Juniors, we're actually recording early so that we can go and
Friggin'
watch
right.
Canada
Absolutely.
play right now. Go check it out if you haven't already. But have a
Do
good
yourself
week.
a favor and enjoy an amazing sporting event.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Take care, everyone. Have a good week, and we'll be back next week. Thanks. Bye.